Hi, I'm Mark. Welcome back to Foothill Paint and Fabrication. Well, today's project is not going to be the 50 Chevy, no body work, no painting, so we're going to jump right into getting this welding table put together. Now, I got this from weldingtables.com, Christmas 2021. I'll put the price here somewhere. I forget what I paid for it, but they did waive shipping. It was like a Cyber Monday deal or some kind of deal, and this is pretty heavy, so I saved a little bit of coin there. So I've got a couple of projects coming up I need to take care of. I got my main gate that needs some work and painting, and then my pedestrian gate that's going to need some hinges changed out on it. So I really could use a table. I've just been using this rack that my neighbor gave me years ago when he moved away, and I really could use a really good table and also help me practice my TIG welding, so it's a good reason to stick this thing together. So let's just sort of jump right into this and get this table put together and knock this out real quick. Okay, I got everything out of the box. This is a 2 foot by 3 foot 3/16 inch table. I looked while I was taking everything out of the box. The leg kit, casters, and the table was $481. So they just charged me $1 for shipping. So it's actually a pretty good deal. There's a lot of different tables out there, but this is the one I chose. I just need something small to work from, instead of this other kind of rack or a piece of plywood or whatever, what I've been using all these years. So the leg kit, I could have built it. I actually have steel in stock. But by the time I buy casters like this with the brakes on them and go through all the trouble of cutting all this up, I just don't have time. I'd really rather just bust it out real quick. So that's what we're going to do today. So to start off, I'm a painter. So the first thing I did was take some mineral spirits on a rag, and I cleaned all the oil and cosmoline off these legs. Then I used some lacquer thinner and a fresh rag, and then got them nice and clean so I can paint them with some Rust-Oleum later. The table won't get painted, but I want to get the legs painted eventually. So I went ahead and cleaned them up. That way I'm not working with dirty steel anyways. And then I just checked to make sure I got everything. So these casters are pretty nice. I can't complain about that. They send you basically everything you need to put this table together. So let's just jump to it and knock this thing out real quick so I can get some of my other projects. Okay, there's some really good videos on YouTube about how to build these tables. Now this is, they're like their smallest table. So, the materials are a little thinner. The chances of not being flat are a little higher. It's not cast iron, it's just steel, 3/16. So in this particular case, I had to shim it to get it to be flat. So what I did was take an old thinner can and I cut some really thin strips of sheet metal, and I had to shim it here and there. I'll flip it over here in a second to show you, but I could not get this flat. Now this is actually got a little bit of I don't know, I won't call it a potato chip, but it's got a little bit of a bow. It's lower in the middle. So what I did was I flipped it over and I just tried to clamp right here in the center. I put some bolts through there and clamp it like they demonstrate on their videos. But the problem was it didn't pull it straight because it wasn't just a little dome in the middle. It was warped, or I don't want to say warped. It just wasn't straight, flat, consistently. So I actually had to shim over here and then over here to get everything to go nice and straight. So let me flip it over here real quick and I'll show you what I did. You may run into it, when you're doing yours, but I did check it with the straight edge, and I flipped it over, so I made sure the straight edge was true, and I've got it looking really good. We're not building space shuttle parts here, but I'd like to start off as flat as possible. That way when I weld it, if it does go off a little bit, it's not that big a deal. Like I said, I'm not making precision parts on this thing, but I'd like to get it as flat as possible just to start with. So let me flip this over, and I'll bring you in close and show you what I had to do. Okay, to get it nice and flat, so here's just one thickness of a paint thinner can. There's a little shim right down in there. I've got another little one right here, and I've got one over here, and they're in there tight. They're actually pushing that away from this rib here, and these ribs are supposed to these are supposed to be perfectly straight, and if you clamp this right to that, then it'll be perfectly flat, but that's not what worked out for me. So, and I did clean everything. There's no dirt or debris underneath any of these. It's just, you know, a little uneven. So then I had a double up shim right here to get this pushed out, and then a little one right here, and that's it. So, you know, it was pretty straight along here. It was a little low, so I had to shim it out. But that side over there came out perfectly, no problems. It was just from the center this way a little bit, it was off. So it's not a big deal. I mean, it's less than $500 for this table with legs and casters. So I'm not complaining by any means. I just want to let you guys know if you're building one of these, you may have to shim it a little bit like I did. So we're about ready to, you know, tack this together, flip it back over, and double check to make sure it's still flat. Okay, got it flipped over. Everything feels good. This one's a little loose, but everything else is tight. So I'm just going to go ahead and put like 6 tacks on here and just keep them small. I don't want to get anything hot. And then we'll see how tight it is. And if we need to add more, we'll add a few more. And then we'll take the clamps off and see if it's still flat. Okay, so that's 9 tacks doing these ribs, the long ones. They are the ones holding it straight this way, and then these others are a little on the loose side, but these I actually trap these in here so they can't fall out. So let's, before I put any more tacks down, I want to make sure it's straight, so I'm going to go ahead and take all the clamps off, we'll flip it over, and I'll bring you back. Okay, so we got the straight edge. I got it diagonally across here, and I'll take my light and I'll just shine the light underneath. And it's looking really good. It's looking flat in all directions except right over here. Let me bring you over here real quick and I'll show you what I mean. Okay, if you guys look right here, you can see the light right here. See the light going underneath it? All the way over here. So it goes, this is about the center here, and it goes out to the edge a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the center. I've got a shim over here, right here, but it needs to be thicker. So I'm going to cut the spot weld right here, over here, underneath, and then I'm going to double up that shim and just shim that one spot out, and then we're going to retack it and recheck it. But I think we're going to be pretty good. This is the only spot that needs a little bit more. Other than that, this thing looks really flat. Okay, we got it all flattened out. I already checked it. So what I had to do was I cut this weld right here, and there was a shim right here already, and then it was tacked at this end, and then tacked way down at that end, and I just drove a small tiny screwdriver in the middle to pry that down, and then I just doubled up on the shims. I got 2 little pieces of sheet metal right there just from that paint can. I put those in there and then checked it, and it looked really good. Tacked it, flipped it over, and it's laying flat. So everything's laying nice and flat now. All the shims are still tight. So what I'll do is once it's all welded, I'll just take and bend those until they break off and get them out of there. Not that they matter. And then right now, so before I flip it over and do the welding on top, these cross pieces are a little jiggly. They're laying down flat right now, but they could move away when I'm welding the other side, and I want them to hold this nice and true going this way. So I'm going to go ahead and get those tacked. I'm going to put a couple of clamps on each one, and then we'll get those tacked real nice, and then we'll flip it over and weld it from the other side. Okay, I got everything on the top welded and ground smooth and hit it with a flapper disc, knock any dingleberries off the top, and it's looking really good. It's pretty flat. I'm not going to say it's perfectly flat. That one area that I had a little bit of a low spot, the welding it kind of exaggerated that a little bit. So this is only 3/16, and it's more than good enough for me, trust me. But you know, sticking this thing together, I don't know how you could get it, perfectly flat without having it machined after you're done. So, and that's not what we're shooting for here. So this is, it's going to work out great. Now it's time to put the legs on, and they provide, in the leg kit now they laser cut everything. So as you can see here, they've cut, all the way around so it fits right over the top of the webbing. So it just kind of slides over, and just tap it down, and you're good to go. So, and then they cut these pockets with the corresponding ears on these pieces. So they just slide right in. Spread them out a little bit, tap it down, and then we just put the other legs in, or the other arms. Just like that, and that's it. So I'm going to go ahead and get the last one in here, and then I'm going to throw a ratchet strap around this whole thing to pull all this tight, and then I'll just put some 1/4-inch welds on. I'm not going to weld it all the way around, and then we'll get that welded up, and then we have some nuts to weld on. The little pieces go here for the casters, and we'll be about done. Okay, to get it square up here, I put the ratchet strap around it, pulled it all tight together, and then this is one of the boards that came in the packing that held the table. I just kind of wedged it in there and put a ratchet strap diagonally and just pulled it tight and tapped this up and down until these two corners were square. And then now I'm going to tack it. I've already done these two corners, and once I get them tacked, then I'll just tap them around a little bit till they stay square, and then we can go ahead and weld it. Okay, that should hold it. We can take everything off, and then now we can just tap it around and do what we need to do. Okay, checking square. It's all looking pretty good. Not perfect, but these legs actually splay out a little bit, so it's like, or actually at the top, so it's almost like these pieces are just a little bit long. It's not a big deal. It's just a minute amount. But all in all, it's looking pretty good. So I'm going to double check, make sure it's square all the way around. I'm going to tack the legs to the top. Actually, not to the top, but to the frame of the cross pieces. And then I'm going to square everything, make sure everything's still squared up, and then I'll weld it, and then we'll get it on the ground and start getting the wheels on this thing. Okay, one of the last things to do is they supply 4 of these pieces here. They just drop in right here. It's already been cut for it, laser cut, I guess. And that's where the casters go. So they have something that have the casters thread into. They supply nuts as well. So we just need to center that up on there and then put 3 or 4 really good 1/4-inch tacks on there, and then just install it with the nut side down. And then you can thread your casters right in there. So I'm going to bust this out real quick, and then we'll get these pieces welded on here, get the casters on, get this thing flipped over. Okay, let's get this thing welded. All right, that should do. Just grind it flat, let it cool, and we can put the casters on. Okay, all done. Got the casters on there. There's brakes on all 4 wheels, which makes it nice. It stands a little tall, I think, for me. Standing up, it's fine, but sitting down, you need a little bit taller stool. And if you're TIG welding, if you're have short legs, maybe you're going to have trouble reaching the floor. But all in all, it's a nice little table for $480. and it came out really flat across the short way. I mean, it's really flat this way, but this way it's just got a little spot right in here, just a little bit. It's not a huge deal, but all in all, it came out really nice. So I'm pretty happy to get that done. I got to move on to a couple projects now that I got this done. Okay, that just about wraps up this project on the weldtables.com 24-inch by 36-inch welding table with leg kit and casters. So it came out really well. Now, could I have done this from scratch? Absolutely. I could have went and got a piece of plate, drill a jillion holes in it, cut up some tubing, welded it all together, but I just don't have time. So $481, that's December 2021 price. It was kind of a Cyber Monday deal or something. They dropped the shipping. It was worth it to me. I've got to move on to some other projects. I got about 700 feet of some 3-rail vinyl fencing to put in around the pasture, and I got to get to work on the auger and the cutting edge on that so I can start drilling holes and get that fence in. So it was worth it to me, time saver. So thanks for joining me here at Foothill Paint Fabrication. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button if you haven't already, and mash that bell icon so you get notifications every time I release a new video. We'll see you on the next one.